Bismillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MMA IMPACT Indonesia 2024. This session's topics is about the new kind of leadership compass. And leadership in digital transformation refers to the ability to navigate and guide their organization through challenges and opportunities presented by the digital era. It also involves several elements, such as agility to anticipate, data-driven insights, and innovative approach to achieve organizational goal. And can we describe those elements as the new kind of leadership compass? Or are we having different leadership compass? So today, we will explore the elements of new kind of leadership compass from the best individual representing a multi-platform media company, global advertising agent, and digital bank. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce three distinguished names that grace this stage today. Mr. Himanshu Shekhar, the CEO of GroupM Southeast Asia and Pakistan. Mr. Sutanto Hartono, the Managing Director of Emtek Group. And Mr. Indra Utoyo, the President Director of Allo Bank. Gentlemen, a very warm welcome to you all. Let me start by addressing this agility issue. And let me start also with Indra Utoyo. As an organization that's quite new, based on your kind of operational model that's quite unique compared to Emtek and GroupM, do you think that the agility, or you consider yourself as an organization that have easier tasks, easier challenge to maintain agile? And please share your journey, your experience, especially in building the agility for your organization. Please.
Okay, thank you Pak Arief. And selamat pagi and assalamualaikum, good morning, distinguished participant, Bapak Ibu semua. So to the question, actually I have a bit different principles. Yeah. So digital cannot replace trust. Digital cannot replace brand, and digital cannot replace services. But without digital, we cannot get all those three. It means that we have to transform digitally. So it means that we need to build trust, brand, and services. So we start with, of course, as a digital bank. Yeah, also we among a number of digital banks. Yeah, so we focus on at least three key principles. Yeah, it's less about technology. It's more on strategy, capabilities, and also culture. So I call it 3C actually. Yeah. So the first C is about committing to the identity. So we have to be, yeah, how do we can differentiate to the rest, right? So and along with the way to play and the business model to continuously deliver the value. The second C is about the capabilities, because to build that identity, I think there should be an articulating of the set of these differentiating capabilities, and these capabilities become the backbone of the capability-driven strategy and the core values. And then the third is the culture. Yeah. So how the strategy will be success if we can implement coherently and clarity, that we communicate clearly across the organization. So we translate the strategy into every day and put the culture to work. So to answer about the agility, so we were working very hard on this 3C, but as a bank is bank. Bank has to have a discipline, has also have to be conservative for risk management, but at the same time, since we are digital, we have also to be agile. So how to combine between these two? I call it the hybrid company models that combining the positive paradox of traditional and also the modern approach, combining the agility and stability. I call it stagility. So that's, as a bank is bank, but we have to do it in how to balance between this agility and stability, embracing also fast but also robust. We also have to be exploiting but also exploring.
Yeah.
So to be able to really be what I call is a more stagility, stable and agile at the same time.
Thank you so much. Pak Tanto, do you share some of the values or some of the principles that been expressed by the President Director of Allo Bank? Because I know that your operational model is extremely different, but is there any similarity, especially when you try to build this agility in your organization?
I think even though we have different, let's say, business model, well, but not different because recently Emtek, together with Singtel and Grab, we launched our own digital bank, Super Bank. So now we have similarities on that also, right? But because like we come from a broader business portfolio, I think the challenge on agility, I think for the last 10 years, if we can describe, is the shift of the fundamental business goal, right? So we still remember back in the days, not many years ago actually, when going to startup, especially technology startup, is like the gold mine. You go there, you go as fast as you can before the competitor and build it as big as possible, grab as many usage and consume as much as possible. Whether you burn the money or not, doesn't matter. The most important thing is like grow. But then all of a sudden the pendulum shifted. Ironically, it's actually after COVID, right? And then everything now focus on the bottom line. So every single thing that we do is being challenged whether we will be able to generate profitability or not. Now shifting from the growth into profit in a very short term, that to me is like the biggest challenge on agility that we are facing also. So whether that's on the digital platform, whether that's on the traditional platform and so on, so that requires a lot of business acumen and discipline. So clearly, whatever that shared by Pa Indra earlier also resonate on addressing the challenges that we have that all of a sudden between A and B requires like completely different approach altogether.
So for Himanshu, is there anything that you can share or something that the previous two gentlemen can be part of your organization mission, especially when we talk about leadership and agility? How do you cope with the digital landscape that's constantly evolving, and how do you cope with building agility for your organization?
See from first perspective of how do I define agility in our business? It is not about doing more with lesser number of people. It is not about just doing things with faster or better or cheaper. But it's also about are you able to move between priorities quite quickly? And media, in my mind, is the fastest moving business because we have to deal with the consumer's mind, which is continuously shifting. So as an organization, by and large, we have been quite adaptive. We are able to move from, say, how should we be working with large broadcasters, or how should be marketers' money should be moving into the fast-moving TikTok feed. And both of them require very different approaches to solve the problem. At the same time, some fundamental principles on which this happens. So I think even though we had a long-standing company, agility is something very at the core because there's so many things to deal with. And if you build a hierarchical organization, then you will be very difficult for you to move and adapt to the new areas. So I will add just one C to you, which is about the change management, right? because your organization's ability to manage change in the light of a changing landscape or external environment is extremely critical, and that sometimes forces us to rethink and reorganize ourselves, how we approach the challenges.
So, when we touch this issue about agility, part of this issue is also about human, it's also about people. So, assuming that your, again, operational model is extremely different with this media company and advertising agency, so can I assume that you have less complexities that concerns human resources compared to the other industries? So, how you deal with human? Is there still human allocation or people allocation that can be part of your mission? And how do you educate your future customer, especially, to shift from the conventional bank to the digital bank?
Yeah. So as a digital bank, we keep ourselves lean and agile. Yeah? We are not like a conventional bank that maybe already have a legacy with a lot of people. We, of course, we start from very beginning. We built the right, of course, the right foundation for technology, also culture, people that maybe fit for the future. Yeah, because the digital era is having different competence, different practice, and also different mindset. So I think we should also acquiring talent starting from that a new digital talent challenge. Yeah. So even though to acquire new talent is not easy, but we are also combining with a number of sourcing from different background. So maybe and the challenge is how to really build the. Of course, we should keep upskilling the employee, but also how to really build the culture that required as a bank. So that's why we keep acquiring new competence, yeah, certifying them that relevant for the futures, but also we also every employee as bankers. So that's why we also equip every employee to have a risk management discipline. So combining again between the combine from fintech, that agile, combine from other IT team, but also we also equip them with the discipline of banks. So they are bankers, whatever their role as in the finance, in the human capital, in the product. So they are bankers. So we combine that discipline, also the new competence, as I said early on. I mean that's the way we.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe we might hear another version of from Sutanto, especially when you work with so many creative people, and we know that creative people operate in a very different way. So please share us about your experience and journey when you have to steward change, when you have to introduce a shift of mindset in your organization with those creative people. And what is the thing that you are doing to them? Please share your experience.
Well, perhaps to set the landscape first, yeah, in terms of the changes within this creative environment. One example is like content creation, right? Because like in the past, the biggest platform by far is the broadcast, the television. So television, pretty much we know the formula. We go after Sinetron, you go after football matches, you go after talent search, right? For instance, like those are the three, or like news, for instance. Now, all of a sudden, we have like a different platform. Let's say OTT, online video service, video that we have, right? So in video, then we have like a new type of customer that are willing to pay, but they also require a higher production quality value. So that's why we introduce now the new type of content called video originals, right? So then it's like a shorter, only 8 episodes, but a much higher production budget. So then it catered to people who will value the high quality production and then at a premium price. Now, it sounds similar, but it's also very different at the same time. Now, to fast forward, in the last 1 year, there is even a new trend of content, which is the short content, which is only 2 minutes, right? And then let's say 100 episodes. And again, surprisingly, people are willing to pay for those 2-minute episodes. So the question then is that, like, who do we need the most to produce different type of content? So of course, the top mind would be, the best creative, the best writers, let's say, or the best directors. Now, interestingly, I met with some of those short format platform from China, because it originated from China. In China, it goes in a very big way, massively. So they try to expand also to Indonesia. So we met with some of the founders. Surprise, surprise, most of them actually are not creative people. So many of them actually come from a programming or data people, right? So the good thing about digital platform, so let's say a video online streaming platform, everything is captured on the data. We know exactly how many minutes they actually watch, what kind of thing that they're willing to pay, after they pay which content they first watch, the stickiness, the conversion, every single thing. So that is the wealth of information that we can analyze, and then we can predict basically what kind of content that actually works the most. Now, once you have that idea, then you give it to creative people to produce it, right? So that's interesting on the sequence. In the past, it was not like, in the past, the sequence, hey, creative people, come up with whatever creative that you have, bring it to us, and then we select, we like this, and then we try to sell. Now it's the other way around. So that's clearly changing the dynamics. So nowadays, like it or not, creative people have to listen also to the data in terms of what works or doesn't work. So, well, in the past, they tend to be ignorant about some of this data, that now they realize that without addressing this, they will not be able also to deliver the ideation to us. So we are seeing some changes, but not everybody changes. So I think this is just hukum alam. Some people who will make it will survive. Some people who do not make it then will be replaced by the new one. So these dynamics continue to happen. So of course, it's our job also to coach them to be able to adopt the data analytics beyond the creative. It's also a new way of we do, let's say, a regular periodical review where we introduce this data analytics also. But as I said, it also boils down also to the characters. And then we make it clear to them, unless you change, we will leave you behind.
Yeah. Thank you. Himanshu, you serve so many types of media, the traditional one, the digital ones. To some extent, you have constituents that their business is already in sunset situation, but in the same time, you have constituents that have a very strong growth. So how do you create this specific workforce that can provide them with good value to the customers, to your clients, in the same time also provide fairness to those various types of media that you serve?
You know, we have often heard the term called diversity in a very different context, but I'll give you diversity, very different twist in how we used it. Building on to Patanto's point, the media landscape has changed so much that 10 years back, there were 5 line items in a media plan. Today, there are 27 line items in a media plan. So everybody sitting here and in this industry, their challenges has ballooned. Their need for different competence have grown up exponentially, not even linearly. And the amount of the data that they consume to find a solution has gone huge amount of time. Now, how do you deal with all this? And what are the emotional aspect of it and what's the functional aspect of it? I think on the emotional part, we forget, while we are quite old, our workforce is quite young. Average workforce in agencies and marketing services, if you find, will be below 30. And many of them are also native to this changing world. So for them, there's nothing called old and new. There's the new and newer in that perspective. And what we have done on managing the different constituents is to define diversity from not just skill perspective, but also from a cultural aspect. So do we have a diversity of a geography? Are we hiring just Jakarta, or are we having people in our workforce from everywhere in Indonesia? Do we have diversity of discipline? Do we only have scientists or also artists in our organization or sociologists in our organization? Because while we are highly analytical challenges, we also have to deal with the subjectivity of the way people behave on consumption of the media. So I think I'll take the continuation of the last time. The change management in our business is continuous. And that change happens across. It happens in a client organization, it happens in a media organization, it happens in our organizations. And it is driven by the technology and the different platforms that are there. And one can always do this if we are open for change to begin with. And at the same time, we have taken institutional measures. Like I said, on diversity, we can navigate these things. Otherwise, it's a very difficult, or you are always in catch-up game. Things will be ahead of you rather than you being ahead of them.
Yeah. Diversity is the key. Thank you. And let me continue another round. This round we'll be talking about data. And from the very beginning, all of us have already touched that issues about data. And especially for GroupM, how do you invest in technology, especially about the analytics to demonstrate the effectiveness of your client's campaign? How do you build the technology, and how do you use the analytics to create better service to your constituents?
That's a very good question, and I'll put this in a context. What has changed in our business is very substantial. We have so far, we used to live in a world of a global client, global agencies, but local media. Emtek was Indonesia only. If you want to go to Malaysia, or if you go to US or China or UK, there were different media owners. So global client, global agencies, but local media means that everything on local has to be invested locally in capability. What has happened with the digitization, there's a large amount of global companies. So suddenly, all three in the stakeholders have now become global. As a result, lots of investment can be done centrally, globally, and markets can take benefit of many of them. Now, what does center means? Does the center means in the country? Does the center means in a region? Center means in the world? I think everywhere there's a bit of a center. Even in a small team, there's a bit of a center there. And they do need enabling to be fit to succeed on our portions. And that's why in our business, we don't take investment in infrastructure just as a physical infrastructure, but also in a people infrastructure. And building talent and building investment behind technology go hand in hand across levels. However, we invest far more in market on talent, and however, far more on technology in the center. So today, our development centers are across the world. We are now creating far more technology than we ever used to, because that becomes one of the core differentiators. But at the time when the rubber hits the road moment, which is where we are closest to the consumer, if you don't invest, then all the central investment goes to the waste. And that is where the combination and synchronization of these two investments really matter.
Tanto, assuming that all of us has regarded data as one of the undisputed tools for leaders to develop their own decision making. So what about other factors or elements like intuition? Because you work in the media that requires a lot of intuition in it. So what about intuition? Is there any other tools that you use except data to create precise decision making?
Well, one example on the data usage will be like, again, in a digital platform, I used video as an example, yeah, because video is like very digital and data heavy. So we know, for instance, like how many subscribers or who are the subscribers that actually churn. So they no longer become our subscribers. So we know the historical data also in terms of what did they used to watch. And then therefore, the question, that's the data, that the data will provide that. So to answer your question as to what else should we do beyond the data, so that addressed my favorite question, which is, so what? Now that we know Pak Indra already churned, Pak Indra no longer becomes subscribers, we know that Pak Indra used to like watching Persib. What should I do with that, right? So whether A, I need to deliver reminder to Pak Indra from his WhatsApp, whether I need to deliver that message through his email, whether Pak Indra doesn't want to continue because he finds that it's too expensive, or whether Pak Indra thinks because he's too busy or because of what. So that requires that intuition, right? So this is where the judgment of the people, as Pak Rohit said earlier, the combination with the intuition, the business call, that is irreplaceable, that can be done by the machine. Because that variation is not necessarily captured in the data. So how to do that? I think it requires experience, it requires the intuition, it requires the trial and error. But to me, that's the fun part. That's what sets us apart from the others, because look, every other OTT will have the same data. Who churn, who watch, but different OTT will act differently, and therefore will address, in this particular example, the churn issue differently also.
So, Pak Indra, with problems we face on data protection, how do you build resiliency against digital threats, especially when you need to protect the both your organization and the customers?
Yeah, I think so we are now entering the emerging risk. Yeah. So first, of course, we are obsessed on how to put trust at the center of innovation, trust at the center of customer experience and also all process within the company. So as we know that I think the emerging risk, the cyber attack, the fraudster is also attacking not only company but the whole ecosystem, right? So I think to address, to prepare to handle this emerging risk, I think we have to prepare in two levels actually. First, at the company level. So how in the company, second in the industry level. Yeah. So at the company level, I think we implement what's so-called as a secure by design principles. So as a bank, we adopt the 3 lines of defense. So to implement the secure by design principle, so we integrate the first line and second line. It means the business and the risk, no integrate. So we shift to the left. So risk management unit now is helping, navigating, supervising business. So to make sure that any process is really quite resilient, yeah, and protecting customers and also company. That's all. And second, to build this resilience, I think we need to adopt the kind of robust framework that maximizing to defense, yeah, protecting, defending, and also how the mechanism respond quickly if something happen. That's also important for cyber resilience. That's on the company level. But on the industry level, as we know, we are in the connected world with connected ecosystem. As Pak Anies also said, we are as strong as the weakest. We are as strong as the slowest. So the collaboration with the ecosystem is very important. Collaboration between players, regulators, law enforcers, and how to respond this. I think the threat as an ecosystem, I think is very important. And also the weakest link is always in the people, especially customers. So how to educate customers, build the awareness to do things properly in a digital form. Yeah, I think that's also maybe the area that we are focusing on.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we conclude our discussion today. Strategic leadership in this digital era is not just about technology. It's about driving transformation and embracing change with your own people. Hopefully, you will find your own leadership compass by contemplating on what we've been discussing today. And I hope we can see each other again next year. I'm Arief Suditomo. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and have a great day and enjoy the next session. Thank you.
In 3, 2, 1, and cheers.